how did you come to the journey? What's your experience and what actually brought you to the journey?
Well, that all started about 17 years ago. And it was simply due to the fact that at that time, my wife had been ill for about 10 years in a diagnosis of chronic fatigue depression.
Wow.
She was, mainly horizontal for that whole period, out of commission, as I think people who are in that state, who have been there, can recognize. Everything is difficult, and life is devoid of pretty much everything in terms of energy and such. And so she'd been through the whole register of treatments and medications and therapies, and nothing really helped. She was still there. Not better, possibly actually in a worse state than she was to start with 10 years later. And then a good friend of hers put Brandon's book in her hands, and something sort of resonated, this realization that there perhaps could be new ways of actually viewing the world and myself, and topics of who decides over my life, and how do suppressed emotions affect me, etc. So something resonated with her in the book, and just a few weeks later, there was one of these events that you and many other people are presenting, the Journey Intensives, in Sweden. And this same beautiful friend came and picked up my wife, drove her in the car. That was 5 hours to Stockholm, and popped her into a seat. Otherwise, she would never have gone.
Wow.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here in this discussion with you.
Yeah. Wow.
Because witnessing what came home, and I do say what, because there was something different, happening inside her. Witnessing what came home, not that everything was finished and healed, but everything was changed. Wow. The outlook and perspective, and realizing that, yes, it doesn't have to be hopeless. There is hope. That, of course, at close range, was something that affected me deeply.
Which then led to that you wanted to try it yourself, or what?
Well, wanted. She actually, Scylla decided to leave her old career as a computer programmer and to train to be a practitioner. And then one day she came home and said, I have a free ticket, Lars. And even though I was I was terrified, frankly, but I couldn't really motivate for anyone, including myself, not going. And of course, part of me was really curious.
Yeah.
I really wanted to understand what was it that she experienced that could make such a huge change.
Yeah.
And part of me was terrified. And I literally remember thinking, if I open that can of worms to let all that out, will I ever be able to put the lid back again? Because that was my idea of what was necessary. And of course, during that very first weekend, I realized that A, the can was an illusion, B, so was the lid, and C, anything that came out was welcome to come out, because it was just coming out for freedom. So it was even though I was terrified, it was an amazing first experience. So I decided to also train to become a practitioner, and that was 15 years ago.
So, and what would you say, and what kind of effect did it have on your life or on your relationship to yourself, let's say? Or maybe even a relationship with you as a man,
Yes. I'm sort of chewing on your question there, because there are so many different ways to answer that. And one way to answer that is, I kind of finally got to know myself a bit and understand my own reactions and my own responses and my own games, and needing to be this and pretending to be that, and all these games that all of us play, and that I had, of course, my own versions of. And also specifically as a man, and that was to a large degree thanks to a seminar that Kevin, who you mentioned, Brandon's husband, developed many years ago, which he called Journeyman. Because that was men only. And the exercises there, they were so extremely and embarrassingly revealing. He asks questions like,
Yeah.
as a man, what must you be and what must you not be, and what are you responsible for and what are you never allowed to show?
Yeah.
And here we all are, you know, these men from various parts of the world, and we're answering exactly the same things. I must be strong. I must support. I must provide. I must never show that I am weak, etc., etc., etc. And I didn't think I had any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was this enlightened teenager in the 70s, and no, that's what the old people did, you know.
Yeah.
And it was there.
Yeah.
So in this men-only environment, really, it gave us a huge opportunity to discover what's actually running so many of us. And to do it without women in the room was amazing, because it gave us the freedom to talk without needing to take a look at how is that going to affect.
This is why I'm so happy that you will present this seminar here for the men in Germany. Well, it's not for men in Germany. It's a European event. We have simultaneous.
It just happens to be in Germany.
Yeah, it just happens to be here. Although we're gonna have simultaneous translation into German.
That's right. That's right.
And so, what can people expect from this particular seminar? What would you say?
Well, I would say, I mean, if you look at the Out of the Blue seminar as such, I mean, there's a sort of a sequence of understanding and clearing going through the whole seminar, right? We start with understanding our ideas and notions and what may be true and possibly not true about depression as such and its associated states of emotional non-health. And then we start exploring from the top down. Understanding our own behaviors better, those behaviors that may not be healthy for us, and exploring what's driving them. What are those beliefs that we've been raised with, you know, and perhaps the promises we gave to mom or to the teacher or even to a God, if you have some kind of belief in something like that, that are driving us, and perhaps at one time were healthy for us and perhaps aren't healthy for us anymore. And then we go into exploring the emotional roots of that. What are those emotions that all of this work, all this energy we've been putting into these strategies, into these behaviors, what is it all trying to protect us from? And then we go there to realize there's nothing to be protected from. On the contrary, it's a beautiful experience. And the add-on to that is that in the men-only retreat in February in Roesrath, we have the male perspective. It's a half day longer than the regular 2-day workshop. And the extra parts, the added parts, have to do with exactly this I was describing from Journeyman, to explore the male perspective, you know.
Male perspective, huh?
To see how is it running us, that we are men, our own beliefs and expectations, other people's beliefs and expectations and rules, or at least what we think that they expect from us, you know, because that's often the case. And after that weekend, well, I just got back last night from an Out of the Blue here in Sweden. Danish, Swedish. It was a beautiful workshop. And what people are saying is, you know, I uncovered stuff I've been struggling to understand for 10 years. And finally, I found the final little piece of the puzzle. And I can let go.
Relax,
And I think a common theme that you probably recognize too, Bettina, is that, you know, Kevin likes the metaphor about pushing the beach ball under the water and comparing that to emotions that we push down. Wow, there's a helicopter outside the house. Sorry about that.
I don't hear it. I didn't hear anything.
So Kevin's metaphor about pushing down emotions and, you know, trying to not feel, trying to avoid the bad stuff. It's like when you put energy into pushing down the beach ball under the water. It works for a while, and then it gets more and more impossible. And what if you could just go, let it go, let the beach ball up, allow all that energy that you've been putting there to support you in life. And this is the theme of what I'm getting in feedback, and I'm sure you are too, from people having been to these events. It's just relief. It's just relief.
It's just relief,
Letting down your shoulders and saying, ooh. done with that. Finally, I can go ahead and live my life in a more healthy way. So it's great. It's such a privilege to work with this.
So is there anything else which you would like to say to the people, or anything which you would love to bring up?
There's so much. And I think it's fair to say, okay, so there's an invitation here. There's an invitation here to any man, or for that matter, as you said, to any woman, knowing any man who appears to be in bad shape, to actually stop and just, consider for a moment, if I continue like this, if I continue the way I'm headed now, where will I ultimately end up? And do I really want to do that? If I had a choice, even if it meant I had to change some things in my life, if I had a choice, could it be worth it to find another direction which allowed me to live healthily? And if the answer to that question is, yeah, I'm fed up with this, I do not want to continue, I so want to find a more healthy way, then, this is an opportunity to find that way, because that's what the whole weekend is about. That's what the whole retreat is about. It's not for everybody. It's not light work. Well, sometimes it is, and we do laugh. But there's also some determination in saying, okay, I'm willing to go there. I'm willing to uncover and to do something about the stuff that's been running me, so that I can be free of it. So it's a decision to take care of yourself. And
what I want to add is that, of course, there is a huge support system there. You're going to have a big trainer team from journey practitioners.
Yes.
So
accredited practitioners that was hugely qualified.
Because that's what is always important for us on this particular event. We have always the trainers. They're the people who've done the whole program with Brennan and Kevin. So they're really skilled and have a lot of experience, and they're there to support you, right?
And I will be presenting in English, and again, as you say, we will have German translation. So anyone needing translation will simply be wearing phones and getting the German version as we progress in the workshop. So it's really simple and very useful.
And what I find anyway, always, I know that for myself, I found it always very helpful to have also different countries there. And because you're going to have a mixed European group, it brings up different things, and you really see, your own conditioning and where your cultural conditionings come from. So that's so interesting and so revealing for oneself. So that's also another plus, having the event in Germany, and yet having many different men from different countries basically attending the event.
And the beautiful thing is both seeing the cultural differences and also realizing that beyond the culture is something more universal. And I don't know how we are wired, if it's genetic or if it's just upbringing or combinations, and I don't care. All I can say is when men get together from different cultures, from different professions, from different ages, religions, when we get together and work like this, there's so much in common. There's so much recognition. Like people go, oh, you too? Oh man! I thought I was alone in this,
It's the same for women. It's just so amazing. There's something in the deep-rooted, way back from the ancestors, right? Which is still living in us. Of
course.
Great.
So it's a beautiful clearing, a beautiful opportunity, and it creates, of course, friendships. People who decide to stay in touch afterwards, and touch base and follow each other a bit and support each other, because we're all on the same path. We start Friday evening on the 7th of February, and then we work full days, Saturday and Sunday, including Saturday evening. So that's why it's a residential. We encourage people to actually stay at the hotel where this is, the Genoa Hotel in Roesrath. And if they don't stay at the hotel, then at least to make sure they stay very close by. Because it's going to be reasonably early mornings and reasonably late evenings. And so, long travel is not a good idea during the weekend.
No, it's a lot more relaxing if you want to have the best for you. I always think, stay put and just, say, I'm gone for this time and just be there. Yeah. And it's in the neighborhood of Cologne, right? Because I wouldn't have known where Roesrath is personally.
I don't know either. I haven't checked.
You're Swedish, but I'm German, so but it's still, so I still don't know it. And it's by Cologne,
supposed to be
right?
quite close.
So that gives us a sense for everyone. So right. Yeah. Wonderful. I'm really looking. Well, I can't be looking. I'm looking forward that it's happening. Let's put it like this.
You can't have a spy camera
there. No. No matter how short my hair is, I can't have.
But I will absolutely report back to you about all the beautiful things.
Yeah. I will hear that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for coming to Germany and giving the event.